So this is my iceberg, and I think this is what caused the students last year to say, like, yeah, we got to bring this back. The iceberg is a representation of ourselves, right? Think of it as what's above the waterline and what's below the waterline. Now, what's above the waterline typically are things like you all commented, what you can simply see, and you actually were seeing a little more. So we are defining it very strictly, what you can see, or just say perceive. So, you know, a student who's vision impaired still can hear accents, right? So there are things that you might infer nationality if you hear someone. So sort of something that's easily accessible through the senses. So you can see someone's age, you can see someone's race, gender, you can get the age wrong, but you can infer something. Language, speech we hear, you can infer nationality. You may be able to know something about religion based on whether someone is displaying religious symbols or not. Physical ability may or may not be apparent. So that's the kind of above the waterline stuff. Below the waterline is who we really are. It's all the other things. It's the things that make us who we are, the things that we care about, and oftentimes the things that we want people to actually know about us, or to inquire about, or to get at, right? How much do you really want to talk about, you know, sort of language, speech versus maybe your education, maybe your values, all those other things, right? So we think of it in terms of what's above the waterline is the stuff, some of which you can see on Tinder, and then what's below the waterline that gets at the depth of a person, what they really care about, and how we really define ourselves, right? So I want to give you an example, and the thing that's interesting about this is, and I've learned this from talking to students here, are the coping mechanisms that we develop based on the assumptions people make about what they see of us, right? So, for example, I had a remarkable number of younger women in my classes tell me that they wear glasses in their previous jobs before they came to the Kennedy School. So let's say, you know, consulting was a particular one where they were seen as young. When they came into the meeting, they would be assumed to be the person to take, if they were in the right country, to serve the tea or to take the notes, when in fact, maybe they were leading the meeting. They would wear glasses that they did not need, like no prescription in the lens, just to look older and more serious. Younger men, or men who looked younger, talked about growing facial hair. I'm not saying that's why you have that beard, but growing facial hair to look older and, again, more serious, right? Or, you know, people, there was a young woman who said, I used to be pretty. And I'm like, where are we going with this? What do you mean? It's just, you know, perfectly attractive. But she had big glasses on. She had her hair sort of up in a sort of messy bun. And she said, you know, I would present myself as pretty, and I stopped doing that at work because it got so in the way of my job and how people saw me, right? So let me just tell you one short example of me. And somebody, I think, was talking about what I'm wearing. So above the waterline, I would hope people would say fashionable. And I've been told that I've raised the bar on fashion at the Kennedy School, but know that the bar is not very high in academia. So, and it's actually, it's like a thing. Like people like send me notes like, I loved your outfit, or your shoes are this or that, like here at the Kennedy School. But it caused me to really think about this as I sort of dove into this work. The reason that I dress this way, not this way today, but in general, because when I was a little girl, as a black girl growing up in Connecticut, I wasn't treated the same. When I just went like to CVS, like your regular, you know, drugstore, if I was just wearing my sort of dirty play clothes from being in the backyard, or, you know, from just messing around with my friends, I would actually dress nicely, and I was treated differently. Now, the blonde, blue-eyed girl next to me was not treated differently, however she was dressed. She was so tall, deer, et cetera. It was palpable, and I was too young. I had none of this experience, none of this knowledge. I just picked it up, right? And so, now, of course, my parents would say you have to dress nicely if you're going to the theater and if we're going on a trip and that sort of stuff. But I'm talking about going to the drugstore. And I'm talking about, like, first having a driver's license, like, 16. I learned this. So over time, since I have this thing about I need to dress a certain way at all times for the occasion, every time, and it's ingrained in me, I've kind of morphed it into, well, I might as well be fashionable if I'm going to think that much about clothes. But in reality, it is a coping mechanism based on how people react to me, right? And to this day, and somebody said to me a couple of days ago, what are you going to wear for the class, right? I'm like, oh, I already got that thought through. So it is a coping mechanism. And more of us have them than we think. And we don't even necessarily catalog them as coping mechanisms because we probably have been doing it a very long time. But the glasses is an example. You know, another woman told me that, you know, she would go into meetings and would just felt that she wasn't presumed to be the smart one, right? And so she was whip smart, and so she would just kill them with data. She would just lead with all this data and information, so they got that out of their heads real fast, right? Coping mechanisms. I mean, it's fine style to take, but it's a coping mechanism. So you have in your packets that were on your chairs your own iceberg. So I'd just like you to take it out. It's the first thing on the right side in the packet. And what I'm going to ask you to do, sorry, I know you put them away. You didn't know you were going to use them. You're going to use them more than just for that, too, for the iceberg. Take them out. You can write on them. You can keep them. What I'd like you to do is just take 3 minutes and think about kind of what are the things, what do you see that people see about you above the line, but mainly focus on below the line. And those blanks are there for you to fill in with the things that matter to you, that you feel really make up who you are, and in fact that you wish people knew about you, that you wish people saw, right? So again, you've got above the waterline, what are those things that people see about you? And then below the waterline, what do you wish people knew? What do you wish people saw? Does everybody have an iceberg? Looks like it? Okay. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Okay, so we're going to just put up some of the, some stuff up on the screen, and what I'd like to do again is just sort of call out, and we're going to strictly focus for a minute on what's above the waterline that you identified as what you think people see about you. And then we're going to do another exercise to talk about below the waterline. So can we just, I'm going to start over here in the back right. Anybody just call out something, a characteristic that you feel people see about you? Gender? Military. They see it, huh? Okay. How about over there? Yeah? Affiliation or employer. That's fine. Employer. No, employer's fine. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I have a little of that problem with BP too. It's you know, I've been introduced as when it was a good company I worked there. Somebody up here? Accent? Yeah, because you can hear that. Yes, you? Physical appearance? Okay. Yeah. Race? Some age? Over here in the middle, somebody? Height. Okay. Anybody else in the middle? This is our sort of largest group of people. Economic status. You feel like they can see it? Or they assume? Okay. Economic status. Yeah, no, it's definitely, and some people talked about that in terms of how people dress or different ways, but you definitely can see that in many instances. How about over there, back by the camera? Please. You got one for me in the yellow shirt? Oh, it was him. Okay. Well, then you in the blue shirt. Sorry? No, actually, physique is different. If you mean like, you know, in shape or not, that kind of thing, like physique in that sense? Sorry? All right. And then, yeah, please. Intimidating. Okay. Please. Demeanor. Okay. Yeah. Somebody over here. Yes. You in the blue shirt? Involvement? Tell me what you mean by that. Okay. Involved. Okay. And I didn't hear you. Level of self-confidence. Confidence. Okay. Sorry, somebody said something here I missed.
I said engaged.
Oh, engaged. Yeah, engaged, involved. Yep. Somebody over here?
Nationality.
Nationality? Business person. Okay. So you could just say job, really. They see, or you feel like people see you as a business person. Okay. Somebody else over here? Front rows? Awfully silent front rows?
Loud.
Loud, okay. Nationality, we've got nationality. Somebody else had their hand up in the front row?
Genuineness.
Sorry? Genuineness, okay. Over in the back middle? Openness, okay. Yeah. You could be open and disingenuous, so we'll put both of them. Yeah? Sorry? Authenticity, okay. Way in the back? Old and bald. So I would say hair follicle challenged for my typist. Yes, okay. And age, okay. Anybody else over here? You can leave bald, it's okay. Okay, anybody? Yep, please. Sorry? Weight, excellent. That's an important one. In the back there? Sorry? Conservative? Smile? Smiley, did you say? Okay, smiley. And I heard empathy. Yeah. And somebody here? Friendliness. Yeah. Say that again? Dress code. So, yeah. So dress code or just your style of dress? Dress code. Okay. So I think that some of them are nonverbal cues, but other times people infer things based on simple appearance, right? So they're like weight is not a signal you're sending. Neither is height, neither is bald, neither is age, right? But people can infer a lot of things based on those characteristics. Yes, two more. The two people sitting in the back. Energy, yep, definitely. For sure, energy, yep. And right next to you?
Player.
Sorry? Players? I can't hear, sorry. Huh? Being a player, okay. So I think we should, that merits a sentence to itself, being a player. Yeah, exactly, okay. And I'm sure that can be visible. Okay. The group is warming up, I like it. All right, I'm gonna ask you to, in groups of 3, and there's a reason why you're in alphabetical order, because I heard after a week you already have formed cliques. So in groups of 3, without like moving around a lot, preferably staying within your little, where you're seated, I want you 5 minutes each, so you're gonna have 15 minutes, and I want you to talk about what is for you below the waterline. Now, obviously there can be lots of things, but what's important there is like, what is important to you? What do you feel really is who you are? And why is that important to you? And if you have time, you might talk a little bit about whether you feel it's difficult or challenging, or if you've developed mechanisms to help surface what those things are. So, but I want you to sort of time yourselves carefully so that I said 15 minutes, so in groups of 3, you each actually have 5 minutes, otherwise somebody will do all the talking. Oops, it's 12 minutes, nobody gets to talk. So sort of 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, in little, just groups of 3. Form yourselves into groups of 3, behind you, in front of you, whatever works, okay? You all have lots of wonderful stories and lots below the surface, and I think in many respects what's very clear is there's a lot more below the surface of the waterline than above. And then, as Alex very ably pointed out, there's the question of the water itself, right? And one could say that the water itself for the next 10 months is in fact the Kennedy School. And you, however, can influence the temperature. And in fact, the classes before you are why I'm here today. So don't ever think that you can't influence and provide the feedback or that it won't be listened to, because it is an environment, and I've always been very impressed since I've been at the Kennedy School, the way that is reactive and responsive to the feedback of students and the recognition that, you know, I mean, it's the space we're in, it's what we do, that we're on a journey together. So you have your prior students to thank for this, whether you want to thank them or not is another matter, but you have the ability to influence that. And, you know, I think that the different veins and threads that people have shared in this, we could just go on, but then you won't get your break. It's just, again, going back to Tinder, let's not do Tinder here, right? And let's just forget it, right? Like, it's actually about understanding what you all have. And I want to just say one thing. So there were a couple of times different people talked about being the stereotypical. There is no such thing. Everybody has a story, everybody has a past, everybody has how they were raised, what values they bring to the table, what they're passionate about. And there is, you know, the white American guy, be he military or not, is no more stereotypical than anybody else. Neither are you over there who said, you know, I'm just sort of the regular, I would be seen to be. I don't see people that way. I don't see anybody that way, and I don't want any of you to see anybody else that way. There is no such thing. We don't want to own a label called I'm stereotypical anything. All right? We're all individuals. And one of your tasks here, because there is a richness in this class, in this cohort, that you could learn a lot of what you need to learn, a lot of what you came here to learn, just by getting to know each other below the surface.